What's up, everybody? This is Semper with BRT, week two of Finding My Way with Toad, the legendary Toad. How'd your week go this week?
Pretty good. I traded 3 days. One was flat, the other two were green.
Nice.
Pretty normal. Today didn't really trade today because it's pretty ridiculous. I took some sim trades, but nothing I really liked because today was crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't trade Monday because I was busy. But that middle week it went good.
Nice. And how many trades did you take all week?
Something like about 10, I would say. So pull these up. Took one, two. Yeah, two on Monday, a good bit two on Tuesday, a good bit on Wednesday, probably too many Wednesday. One, two, three, four or five on Wednesday, and maybe like three or so on Thursday.
Nice.
So,
And out of those, because what I want you to start doing now is start tracking your reds and your greens, because this is going to help you with scaling up, right?
yep.
Because a lot of new traders are either don't know how to scale up or they're afraid to. And one of the systems that helped me that I kind of created when we're going through this process is is keeping track of your trades. Let's say, for instance, I had 5 trades max per day, and I only trade 5 days. That's I had 25 trades, right, for the whole week.
Mm,
And that's what you want to do. You want to be consistent with your trades and consistent with your trading. You don't want to trade 3 trades one day and then the next day you trade 10 times.
mm,
You want to have a predictable system so like that you can adjust, right? After you're consistent and you're a professional trader or whatever you're more consistent, then you can take as many trades as you feel, right? But as a new trader or intermediate beginner trader, you want to try to figure out your weaknesses and your flaws so you can perfect it easier. And the only way to do that is to create a system, which is what I got it from Ray Dalio is it's a feedback loop, right? So you need to track your mistakes and your errors so you can fix them. And the only way to fix them is to track and journal.
mm.
So something that helped me is I would tell myself if for 2 weeks straight, I can take at least 90, 75% of my trades and they're all green for 2 weeks straight, then I'm going to bump it up one contract or two contracts. So when I first started, it was a small count, $600, one MES contract, and my goal for that week was $125, right? $500 a month. So it was $25 a day with one MES contract.
Hmm.
So if I hit my weekly goal, I wouldn't trade the rest of the week. I would sim trade and then just keep practicing, right? Because you want to get that screen time. So if you hit your weekly goal, some people are for goals, some people are against it. It's whatever floats your boat. Even if you don't have a daily goal, then shoot for 80, 75% green for 2 weeks, and then you're gonna scale up the following week. Because by then you should have trust in your system and your strategy, and you should have the confidence higher that your strategy is working, right? As long as you stick to your rules, you're going to have success. Your trades are going to be in your favor more often than not. But the time that you decide to break any of your rules, you're going to take a loss. Hopefully it's not a huge loss. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna have you start tracking your trades and then I'm gonna slowly scale you up. So by the end, if you're starting, I want to get you from 2 MNQ or whatever you're trading to at least 1 or 2 NQ.
Hmm.
So you have the confidence. to put on the big boy pants and then do the same, right? And that's how I was. When I was building up my small account, I built it up to like 3K and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can start trading ES, right? And then I got my butt spanked and I was like, fuck this. This is not for me right now. Let me go back. Just
Hmm.
because I couldn't, it's a mental trick, right? You see that huge green or that bigger red and you're like, fuck, I gotta stop out. When you shouldn't, because if you have your strategy from when you're doing micros, you shouldn't, you should still be getting in the same spot,
Right.
right? In the same entries, you should be having that. And by the time you grow up into the minis, your entries should be laser, where you're just gonna, that's why I scale you up, right? So if you do two contracts, $5 a point, you can go like negative 250, right? But on ES, that's only 2.5 points, where in the MQ, I mean on MES, that's probably like 25 points or something. Or not 25, 10 points. All right.
Right.
So you're gonna have to adjust. Um, you might have to come back down and drop down because you're not ready to deal with that drawdown. But by then you should have a large enough account where you can have a buffer for that drawdown. You have that cushion. So yeah, keep tracking your trades and then yeah, let's jump into your breakdown and see how you did this week.
Yeah, sounds good. On the sizing, that's actually what I did. So I jumped up to so I was risking like a 80 to or about 100 per trade. Um Size dependent on the point, stop. Um and these two here I bumped it up, but then I found myself even on sim, these were sim right here. I've got a prop, but these were sim. I found that even then I was like I added in a whole position. You know what I mean? So all of a
Hmm.
sudden, instead of risking, so I bumped it from 80, 100 to like 150 or 200 about. And then all of a sudden I caught myself adding in and I'm like, all right, well now I just went and risked double for like why? So now I actually dropped back down. Um, but that sounds good because I want to scale up effectively. What I started with here, um, this one was pretty classic as per what I'm looking for regularly. We had a the EMA stack I was looking at, and like all MA stacks, you got the first tag. So we came here and we tagged the green here, which is a 65.
Hmm.
And I look for if I can find a candle structure to short off of. I look to short off of short or long the first tag there. So on the top right here is my 2 minute. You got a kind of this might be a little at the 1 minute top left, 2 minute, the five on the bottom left, and the 15 to the right of that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I got this. We tagged that 65. We also tagged this 200 on the 2 minute, and we put in a bit of a bear hammer. So I sold that and was going for. I like to use, I mean, structure as targets.
Yep.
So or MAs. So generally, like the red MA on my 2 minute will be a good first target. Here I put it on the dojis. I mean, I actually don't really like where these targets were in retrospect because I think I was just kind of leaving them how my ATM set them. Didn't move them enough because really, if I was gonna do this in general, I would like to put it like at the like up on the top of these dojis. You know what I mean? Not looking to get under them. Just to be a little safer on the first target. But yeah, so sold that one and then missed the like so by the time I took another screenshot, I was actually in on a long, but essentially it hit a lot of targets here. So I sat into this one. My original entry was up here on the 2 minute. So it went and hit like two or so targets. down here and then hit me out break even. Um, and then I got into here once all of these MAs kind of crossed up. Got into a long off of a really long liquidity wick on the 2 minute again.
Oh yeah, that swept it. That swept that
Yeah.
liquidity on the left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, crushed through and yeah, got down to these structures, but then just picked right back up.
Yeah, that's something that I look for is I'm
Yeah.
always looking for the structure before it for support.
Hmm.
Like where you got in, there's a little bit of support right here, and you got in right on it, I guess. Looks like, yep.
Yeah, pretty much came down and got through there, and then
Did you
this
get
two
on it
minute
on the way
close.
down or on the way back up?
I got in on the close of this 2 minute candle.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it opened,
So
shot
so
down a little
on the
bit
way
and went up.
back up. Yeah. One thing I want to try, I will try to do is never look to buy the fall. I try to wait for at least something. On the 5 minute, you can't always wait for a whole close. But on like the 2 minute, I can usually wait for a close.
Yeah,
Um,
you wanna, like Brandon says, wait until the last minute of the 5 minute candle to make a decision.
mhm.
What I do, I flop. So I go to the 1 minute, check to see if there's any structure breaks, any confirmation, after a structure break. And then on the 1 minute, or I mean on the 5 minute, I'm looking for another structure that's kind of, it should line up. Um, like, yeah, because this is a 5 minute down here. And that's what I
Mhm.
was saying. Like, you got in over here. See how this structure right here lines up with this structure right here?
Yup.
So I'm looking for that structure. If it breaks this structure up here, I'm looking for this bottom one to hold. So I
Okay.
got I got this like whole zone right here, right? If we lose that, we can come down to here. And look, what you want to look for when you have these support structures, either here or here, on the bottom one, on this one right here, where you catch the support, you want to see big candles like this, right? Because history tends to repeat itself sometimes depending on if there's a big candle. If there's a big candle, see how this one right here had a big candle right here?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it broke this, right? Is it broke it down from right here?
Hmm.
So it broke that. So now I'm looking at this support. And then if I see a big green candle, then I know the buyers can come in right here because the buyers caused this big spike um, that it should hold it to go up to whatever structure this is right here, right where your target is. And same thing over here. So just how we looked at it here, whoops, just how we looked at it here, it broke that over here, right, on the way down. So now we
Yeah.
wanted this to hold. And like I was telling my friend yesterday, is you want to pay attention to this level and how this candle reacts at that level. Sometimes sometimes like I always say, you'll see it hit that structure level and then it'll stay glued to that level,
Hmm.
which meaning the next candle should open up strong red down, right? But if it hits that level and it gets sucked right up and it creates like a hammer doji, then
Yep.
you know that most likely the buyers are coming in and um it's gonna have another leg up, a continuation leg up, potentially, right? But just because you have this structure here and that as support, this is gonna be your resistance right here, this little part and this part first, right? Because
Hmm.
you always got to look at the structure behind the move, behind the most current leg. So there's no price action right here, right? So this is the structure you're looking at when it's coming down. So you're setting yourself up for this bounce move ahead of time. So you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes that it can come all the way down to here. And the whole time you're asking yourself is, okay, it can go right here and bounce up, right? Because we have moving average support right here. If we lose that, then we're going down to structure. The moves that pretty much guarantee a good trade is when structure lines up with the moving average or a fib level.
Hmm.
And if it lines up with the moving average, fib level, and structure, that's three things. Fucking take that trade any day. But we wanna start you off with just the moving averages. It seems like you're focusing more on moving averages.
Yep.
So we're gonna focus on that for like the first 4 weeks. And then later on, if you wanna attach the fibs, then we can make it's gonna make your consistency that much better, right? Because you could have fibbed it out from here, because this is the low, right? From here to like this candle right here, right?
Mm.
The reason why I say that is because it created a higher low right here. But
Yeah.
if you fib that out, then this probably would have gave you an entry right here on the 100, a little bit higher, or at the 50% pocket to get in, because it's still a higher low with the potential to go all the way back down and complete the fib cycle from here to here, right? Because there's no price action down here.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
But we'll get into that later once you're ready for it. I'm not sure if you want to add that complication to it now, but it's really not it's not adding complication. It's just adding additional confirmation because you're gonna have the moving average system and the fib
Hmm.
system lined up with the structure. Because
Yeah.
just how I told you right here, right? It needs a hold. And that's what I like about the 5 minute, right? Because you can look at the 1 minute and you're like, man, that's some sloppy structure right here. But look, what I always say, dojis.
Right.
Dojis on the 1 minute. So I would
Hmm.
look at that doji right there and I would just draw a zone. As long as it holds that doji, you can take it up to the next moving average. And right now on NQ, I don't know if you're trading NQ. Yeah, NQ from here to here is like 100 points. This little candle right here, when it used to be like 20, now it's like 100 points.
Yeah. Yeah, its volatility is crazy. But that sounds good. I mean, zones and fibs, that's easy enough to add.
Yep.
Um,
And
that
like I
sounds good.
like I told you last week, and it seems to be working for my friend that I'm mentoring, is look for these structures where the red candle overlaps, and you can draw a zone. So you could be that's going to be your first resistance.
Mm.
And when I'm calling out squeezes, when I'm telling you, hey, it might squeeze right now, it's because sometimes the price action will take out that zone, it'll smash through it, and then it'll come back up, and then boom, squeeze. But it's on how I see the candle hit this level. That's why I like to identify these high pullbacks or swing highs. This is a swing high. Here's a little swing low. But I'm always trying to identify.
Hmm.
See right here how they overlap, kind of right there. Kind of barely see it. But I would draw a doji zone this way and then up here. And it's not like I'm taking profit there, but I'm watching price action carefully there because bears, especially if there's a big red candle, like let's say this had a big red candle after this little red,
Hmm.
after this little red doji hammer or this doji and this big red, if there's a big red candle next, then you know the bears are there because it caused that big move. Like what did I say over here? You want to see if there's buyers here by identifying big candles, in that consolidation zone. Same goes for the other way, right? If you're looking for it down, then you would look for a big red candle. There's no red candle here, so this might get taken out easier, like hit right
Yep.
here, and then the next one squeeze up to this next level up here because there's no price action right here.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, good
That
trade.
makes sense.
Because like I said last week, it gets reinforcements. Look at where it got reinforcements. It got buyers right here. Because look at this big green candle. So the buyers are there. So what's it gonna come into? Reinforce to go up to at least attack this because it didn't take it out. Look,
Right.
this is a second test. This is like retreat, reinforcements. Okay, let's go at it again. This time it should this time it should squeeze. Remember, the more times that that level is tested, the weaker that level becomes. So it's testing it
Right.
up, right? So it tested it once, tested it twice. On the third or fourth time, it might squeeze through it.
Makes sense. Okay.
But yeah.
And then on the left, on the right side here on the 15, you see because the 15 is more zoomed out. You see all the way on the right here, you got this structure here. Could that also be a val right? And that ends up being in the middle of this
Yep.
zone here to
Yep.
get all the way up there. You think, okay,
Yeah,
all
just
right,
like that. You're looking through the price action to the left. If there's
yeah,
structure, that's going to be a resistance zone
mm-hmm,
or a speed bump, right? Because it can go right there, hit it, come back down to your moving averages, and then go up.
yep,
But you're looking through the price action. If that wasn't there, then this is probably going to go like this, just like that, with no resistance. It's probably going to hit the 50% of that candle.
yep,
So you can have that, right? Because that has a no GP tag, right? This candle right here,
mm-hmm, yep,
that big red candle. You can,
yeah, on the 5 or the 15,
so now look at if you fib that out, it's gonna line up the 50 GP with that yellow structure from right. Yep, right there.
yep, yeah, it would be right there.
So then you would, and then you got that moving average right there that lines up with the 50 GP, that lines up with that structure. So
Mm-hmm,
wouldn't you think that that's gonna be heavy resistance?
mm-hmm, yep,
But just because it's resistance doesn't mean that that level might not smash through it. Know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So if it smashes through it, then you know that it's gonna go up and attack this. If it breaks, this is the squeeze point right here. It's either the boom down or boom up down.
yeah, right.
And
Okay,
that's all dependent on how the candle reacts to that level. And looking at the 1 minute, you might not be able to see it on the 5 minute or the 15 minute, but on the 1 minute, you'll see the candle hit that level and either drop back down or hit that level, stay glued, and then wait till the last 20, 30, 20, 10 seconds of the candle on the 1 minute and then smash through that level, right? And then come back, confirm that level, and then go up.
okay.
But
Let's see
you're
what
you're looking through the previous price action to see if there's any resistance. Go
right.
back to where you were right now. Right there, look.
Oh yeah.
So look at right here. Here's another good example. Look at it smashed through it, smashed through here, right? Took out that wick, and then look at where it held. Right there. And then look at where it held right here. What did I tell you? It's the most re you can use
Yeah.
the previous, but the most current one, right? Because it's this one. If it loses that, which it lost it right there,
Hmm.
come back and retest it. But you want it to hold here. You want to stay in sequence, right? The sequence got broken right here. I'm drawing too much. It's probably confusing the fuck out of you guys.
No, I'm picking up enough. I'm
But
picking up enough here.
here's a higher high, right? Because it created a higher high, but then it
Hmm.
created a lower low.
Right.
So right now you're in chop. You're like, fuck, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So don't fuck with it because the sequence hasn't started, right? Because it you could have got short here because it created a lower high, right? Created a lower high, lower low, but then right here it breaks it again. You're like, fuck, which way do I go? Let me just wait for something to get confirmed, structure to get confirmed. So the best structure to confirm is this one, right? This one is better than any of these little ones because it's more defined.
Hmm.
So then it breaks it right here, breaks it, creates a higher high, right? So now we're looking for a
Right.
higher low, and then this. If you're in this trade to go up, first structure you're seeing it's shitty structure, but be careful with these little sneaky little two candle structures. Because these sneaky little two candle structures, this is why I like to put zones right here. It can easily go like this and go down.
Right.
Sometimes that saves me is the way just watching the way. So I'll get in here and I'll be like, yeah, here's my target, but I'll see how it reacts right here, and then I'll be like, oh, it's rejecting. I'm locking in right here, and then break even down here or whatever.
Yeah.
My break even is always like 2 points above my entry. So
Okay.
I'm technically not break even, but I'm still ending the trade green no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, so I look for the rejection of this little structure right here. If it smokes it up a little bit, or the price candle opens above it, or closes above it, then
Oh.
I'm thinking the next candle should shoot up to here. If it wicks back down, then I'm
Hmm.
like I got my finger on the trigger to possibly get out. Because
Makes sense.
I've noticed even with these little fucking two little candle structures, you can get faked out and you're like, oh, I got in perfect. I got in good. And then you get in and then you hit that candle and you're like, fuck, I stopped out. And then you're stopped out right here.
Yeah.
But if you would have paid attention to this little structure and you're like, okay, it broke back below the moving averages. Okay, maybe I should just stop out. Green, like
Yeah.
2 points or 3 points. But yeah, just be a little cognizant of this little, you might think it's not structure, but those are the sneaky ones where they try to scam you.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I want to never do is let it go into profit and then come all the way back down to my stop. I had all of these fucking complex ATMs. Oh, apologies. I had all these complex ATMs that were the goal, like that had ATR based trailing stops and such. Um, and just with the goal of not letting it come back too far in one candle, because I often will trail the candle. Um, but and then like this one right here, right? So this was my entry here on the close of this large bull hammer. It shot up immediately, right? Took
Uh-huh.
profit here. And then it came back down, and at the time I was using that ATM. So it came down and hit my trail stop, which was great, right? Because if I wasn't using that, I would have gotten hit all the way at break even. So one thing I want to also work on along while we're talking about structure and fibs is trailing my stop in the middle of the candle as well, so I don't like you know gain a whole candle then lose it in the same before it closes.
Hmm.
How do you do that? Do you trail along the way in one candle?
It depends on the size of the candle. If it's like a big candle like this one, let me get my
Hmm.
mouse. Hold on, what's it? If it's a big candle like this one or like these ones, let's say I got in on this candle right here
Hmm.
for a break. for a break above this wick. And I'm paying attention to the 50% of that wick. That's another thing. You want to pay 50% of each wick, right? If it can't make it above 50% of that wick, then it's most likely not going to squeeze.
Okay.
Case in point right here, look at this 50% of that wick. It rejected it hard.
Right.
And if it creates a lower high after that, then it's most likely going to pull back harder. Uh, but what I usually tend to do is, and you can use Brandon's golden pocket tracker, where it automatically puts the three little lines for the golden pocket,
Hmm.
right? Or you can just fib out that big red candle. So you got in down here at the bottom, right here. I would automatically fib that candle. As soon as it breaks back below 100%, then I'm probably thinking of getting out at the golden pocket, depending on how it reacts.
Okay.
Remember, it's all reactions, right? What does Brandon say? Poor people react, or no, poor people predict, rich people react.
Right.
Um, so yeah, fib that candle out. If it and then pay attention to your golden pocket. That's gonna tell you if it's looking weak around your golden pocket, then you might want to stop out. If it's looking strong and it's popping up, then it's gonna have another leg up. But that definitely the golden pocket or the fib of that candle is gonna help you out a lot. If you think the 1 minute is too choppy, then do the 5 minute candle.
Okay. Cool. I'll start throwing these dang fibs on. Checking out the wicks, 50% wicks.
Yeah, the
Check
50%
it.
wick is if the 50% wick is rejected, then the next thing to happen is a lower high. And if a lower high is created, then the next thing coming is going back down to the GP.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up. I don't know how much we got left. Let me look for a loss. I have located a loss.
A loss? What? No, I love
I have
loss.
located one.
I like reds.
Exactly. That's what I mostly want to share. And here is I was a bad toad for real. I did this is exactly I mean it was all right. Um it was all right. I get it was not the best for sure. So because what I don't want to be fighting um my 5 minute EMAs, right? The five I don't even have a five cross over the nine.
Hmm.
Um But over here on the 2 minute, I really do. I love the liquidity grabbing hammers in either direction, especially if they're at a proper higher low or all the way off the low.
And you said this was a red?
Yeah, this is a red. I got in here. All right, so here's the entry. And I kind
Where'd
of,
you get in? I'm sorry.
right here on the five, near not on the close. It was almost the close of this 2 minute. Here is the one here. So I was kind of thinking it came down to what could have been like a little inverse head and shoulders. Um, so I got in here once it like the five came down, hit this doji, pulled back up. But ultimately, this was still a jumping the gun trade. I mean, I had the 5 minute MACD that was just turning. But you
W-
know,
Let me ask you this. What don't you see in that trade?
a
On the
structure break.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually I remember I said that. Everybody make you have to drill those mistakes in. But I mentioned that last week that I wanted to make sure I'm paying attention for structure break. But exactly, no structure break.
When you get that structure break, that hammer doji that you're talking about, like if it would have broke if it would have broke above this little structure right here, like
Yeah.
it went up and then came down,
Hmm.
that would have been more confirmation
Yep.
to go up. But since it didn't break it, it's still in sequence, right? Lower high, or lower
Hmm.
low, lower high, lower low, lower high. It's still in sequence. The sequence has not been broken.
Yeah.
So you don't even want you should be telling yourself the sequence not broken, I'm not touching it. Once the sequence is broken, then you can start looking. That's your signal to start preparing for your pullback to get in. But if the sequence is still intact, then you're fighting the trend. That's
Yep.
the number one fucking trigger to not get in, is you could get smoked. S- Especially like on a date like today, if you did that, you would have got lit up. You would have blown an account today for sure.
Yep.
That's why it's critical that you wait for that structure break. You get that structure break. Okay, now I gotta, okay, where can it pull back to? And then just start talking through those scenarios. It can pull back down to the structure. It can pull back down to moving average. Know what I'm saying? Start looking for those levels. It can pull back to the GP, especially if you were to like, let's say it broke that structure, created a higher high, and then it's
Hmm.
pulling back. As soon as you
Fib.
get that first red pullback right here,
Yep.
fib that sucker out.
Fib it out.
Fib it out, and then look if the GP stacks up with this structure right here and that moving
Okay.
average. And then right away you're like, fuck, I got the GP, I got the moving averages, I got the structure. That's three things. I need to start looking for an entry in that area. And you could put your fishing orders out like in the middle of the GP, at the bottom of the GP, or you could put three orders out at the 61, at the 50, and at the 38.
Yep.
And then see how it goes. Most of the time, it's gonna work out in your favor because you have three freaking strategies right there. You got price action strategy, you got a moving average strategy, and you got a fib strategy, all stacked
Hmm.
up. But the good thing about the three is that they complement each other, right? Because it's gonna pull back to the general same area of the fib, moving average, and the structure. But cool. Anything else you got to say?
Um, no, I think that sounds good. I think waiting for the sequence would have saved me here. I know how to incorporate the fib. Since I'm waiting for the sequence, I know how to incorporate the fib, right? Because it's
Yep.
just off the sequence.
Yep.
Pretty sure I went for another. Yeah, I went for it again and took another L here. I don't have the exit execution, but you can see I entered here once it like popped back above.
Hmm.
See on the 2 minute here, right? Entered, stopped, entered. Where did I enter exactly? 9:10. So up here and then got stopped again. Right. So it's like this day, this was the red day I had, or
Uh-huh.
was it flat? Because I just went for and what's bad, what's bad for the
You got
long
in on the
term.
way up.
Yeah, yeah,
You,
yeah. Eventually here I did. I got
you
in on. Oh wait, what were you saying?
go ahead. Move,
Well, so
move.
I was saying that I tried it twice, got stopped twice, and then here on the third try, I went for it and I got stopped and it hit my T1, then came down to hit my break even, and then I tried it again on a fourth time, and then it finally goes for me, and now I'm in this big winner that I probably should have never been in because I wasn't waiting for sequence, but then it rewarded me with a big winner. So it's kind of like this day right here, kind of, I think, like, until we talked about it now, is almost like instilling bad habits if I don't think about it enough, because I tried to get in before the sequence break and it took four times before it finally went for me,
Yep.
and all it did was bring me to flat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of tough though, because there was no pull. Once the sequence was broken, there was no
But
pullback
but
actually.
look at it. It was all in the same trade. I mean, in the same candle, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. This five
Cause
minute candle. Yep.
cause it went up, came down, and then smashed up.
Hmm.
Like even on that 1 minute, right? it broke. Look at right here. Yeah, right there.
Hmm.
It broke it. Broke
Yeah,
this,
just barely.
right? And then this one came back down. I would have liked like at least right here the 10 SMA to right there. Because this is a little bit shitty structure, but that's all I'm looking is that structure, dude. Like once I figured that out, it's helped me so much better. And that's what Brandon was always waiting for. He was like, "Oh, didn't break structure. We're not longing, you know." And it'll go
Yeah,
below there. And it's like him walking us through. I just like, oh man, he's always waiting for structure break, or first tag. He's like awesome at first tag metrics. Uh,
yeah.
But yeah, like over here, I can't really see. I wish I could zoom in.
I can zoom
Does
in. What
this
are you looking
candle right
for?
here? Did that candle tag your 10? Yeah, right there. Oh, it did.
Yeah, so it looked like it what popped up, went back down, and then tagged my
But what you're looking
MA
for
too.
is the structure of this to get broken. Like if it went up, came down, and then went up.
Yeah.
But that's what you're looking for, right? If you see this big green candle where you got in,
Yep.
it looks like it opened, shot down, but there was no structure break. This was a risky trade.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, you
you
said it
know,
took you 4 times.
exactly. It took me 4 times, and luckily, I mean, not luckily, there's, but I how I structure stuff is that once it finally worked, yeah, it brought me to flat, but that doesn't feel very good. I mean, even if, like you pointed out here, this 1 minute structure was, yeah, just barely broken. It broke it, came all the way back down for the back test, and here's the confirmation along that I could
Yep.
have been waiting for the whole time.
Yep.
So that's great. All right, I'm gonna have. You know what I'll do? Maybe I'll put some horizontal lines on my Ninja Trader where the structure is.
That's what I do, bro. I honestly draw out zones or lines if there's like a doji. Like I said,
Yeah,
always try to like this little setup right there, this little setup,
yeah,
these little setups. I mark them out just to see how price hits those levels. Boom. Because I know, right? Because the Bears obviously push it down. The Bears push it down. The Bears push it down. But there's no big red candles. Remember, I always want to see big red candles.
yeah.
Not really, right? So when you don't see big red candles, that's the easy. It's like I look at the big red candles as watchtowers, right?
Hmm.
If there's like a big watchtower right here, I'm probably gonna get smoked. Like if there's a big red candle right here, right, and price action right here hits it, it's probably gonna reject.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that it's going to reverse back down, but it's going to reject, look for a pullback around this area to get in long
Mm-hmm.
up there. And
Right.
that's all I'm looking. Oh, is there a watchtower? Is there fucking a guard on the watchtower? If there is, then that's gonna be my first target. If there's a big one right there, first target, right? Because it can smash through it, but it can also reject hard. If there's no structure, there's no structure here and there's no structure here, and look at the fat squeeze candle that we get.
Right.
But I'm telling you, bro, if you start to pay more attention and you see these structures with huge red candles, I'm gonna be like, okay, there's bears right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's bears right there, so it might reject. And if it doesn't, like if it hits that level, I honestly, if there's a big red candle, Um, I'd put my first target. If I had 3 contracts, I'd put one target here, one there, and then one on the moving average, like up here. Because
Okay.
this structure lines up with that moving average. Okay, so there's nothing above, there's no structure over here. Okay, my next target's that.
Makes sense.
So I'm using the structure, and I'm sure if you're able to fib out, it's gonna line up with one of these lines too, or structure.
Yeah.
So I try to use that in combination to have solid fucking targets, especially
Right.
when they line up. Especially when they line up.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm quick enough, right? If you're quick enough, this being the structure here, right? And then you make the higher high, right? And
Yep.
then you fib this out. I mean, I
Hmm.
bet this right here is in the pocket.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
Or
good.
the thing that the thing that Brandon kind of tipped me for is okay, fib any big ass candle out. Fib it out. Just fib it out. You can always adjust it, right? Because you'd have the
Yeah.
fib of this, and you would have to adjust the top to the next candle a little bit. But you would fib that golden pocket. It holds a GP. It holds that structure right here.
Hmm.
Boom, get in. As soon as you see that level hold, get in to go up.
Sounds
Just,
legit.
but just keep in mind, right? Because you're looking at the structure. So on the way back up, you're looking at that structure. Because that structure, say you get in right here, that structure right there is a squeeze point. This right
Yep.
here. And
Hmm.
look at what happens. So I'm saying it could have squeezed up to this level, right? Because it lines up kind of with that level. So
Hmm.
now that structure is a squeeze point. Look at squeezes again.
Yep.
And then just move your way up, work your way up. Now this is a squeeze point, and then it kept squeezing. Why? Because there was no huge red candle here. There was no huge red candle here. There was no huge red candle here. So that's you can take those dudes out. Those are the fucking boots. You know, the rookies. The rookie soldiers getting wiped out. When you see a big old watchtower, though, be careful because they might take you out
Right.
or reject. If you don't, I told my friend, look, get out right here or lock in 75%. If there's a big watchtower, lock in maybe 75% of the big watchtower, like up here near moving average or something.
Yeah.
You would lock out right there and then look at the body and then look at the 50% of the wick. Those are your three contact points, right? 50% of the big body. If it goes past that, you're looking at the top of the body, how a new candle is going to react to that level. And then if it gets past the body, look at the 50% of the wick. And if it gets past that level, it's most likely going to squeeze. That's how I
Sounds
break.
good.
That's how I break down the big, huge candles that you get sometimes. Okay, I'm
Hmm.
I'm looking at the GP. It gets past the GP. I'm looking at the 75%. If it gets past the 75%, I'm looking at the top of the body. If it gets to the top of the body, if it breaks into the wick, I'm looking at the 50% of the wick, and so on and so forth. If it gets past the 50% of the wick, it's most likely going to squeeze to where? To the next structure in line.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I break it down. Boom. I'm always looking at how the candle is reacting to those levels.
Hmm.
And you're slowly going to start seeing what those levels, how the candles react, and be like, okay, it looks strong. I'm staying in. You're not even sweating it, right? Because you just seen that so many times how that candle reacts to that level. You're like, okay, cool. I know when it looks weak when it hits that level. I know when it looks strong when it hits that level. I know when it's gonna squeeze when it hits that level or dump when it hits that level because you already seen that candle development on those levels.
Right.
But yeah, keep taking them trade, bud. Is there anything else to add? Hopefully, I didn't.
Absolutely. I mean, oh, absolutely. And keep taking the trades. I think for the rest, I mean, I think we're reiterating same stuff I wanted to focus on from last week. This one, I don't even remember what I went for here. Oh yeah, this one actually worked out. This was like the exhaustion leg. I kind of like this pattern, but I don't have the second photo, so I'm not gonna think about that for now. But no, I mean, nothing to add. I think this all makes sense. I'm gonna look
Just
for
keep,
everything we're talking about.
yeah, keep stacking onto what we talked about last week, and they'll add more. We're slowly just gonna keep knocking them out, keep going.
Sounds good. I'm gonna use levels for structure, fibs, and zones. I'm gonna add onto my chart. So that sounds good. Thanks for the review on all these.
Yep,
It's awesome.
cool. Is that all you had?
No, I do have some more actually. I've got this was yesterday. Yeah, this was yesterday here. Um, Let's see. We got a yeah, a ultimately it looked like it could have been a higher low off of this stuff on the back from the 5 minute here. Getting in to on this doji, multiple dojis and stuff. And this one, I mean, again here, not really ample structure break though. So you can see I entered, you can see on the close of this 1 minute here, looks like basing, but not really supported by the structure break. So what does it do is it breaks structure, launches up to my first target, but then just comes right back down. And then going in line with what we're saying here, then actually I caught the confirmed long. So the first one was preemptive, right? Which is what the two losses in a row from the last day was. Here, this was preemptive, but it happened to work in my favor. At least, I had the dojis, like four dojis in a row that was supporting price there. So came up here, hit my first target, came back down to break even, and then I actually got into what was the confirmed long. So I got in here, the close of this 2 minute candle on the top right. Hope you're not getting like seasick here. But we broke at least this strong 5 minute candle on the bottom left. Came back down to make a doji, and then I got in here for like kind of a weak confirmation, but a decent confirmed long, which then pushed me on up here. Then I got like, yeah, started like kind of over trading actually. Although a lot of them were kind of working out, I was getting hit with like T1s and break evens and stuff.
Yeah.
Because ultimately this right here is kind of like, yeah, we broke structure here with this strong 5 minute candle, came back down and back tested for a long, but ultimately this was the lower high, which was in sequence.
Yep.
Right off of this, it was
Yep.
off of my MAs. But not really light. I mean,
So
taking too many shots here.
so check it out. What did I tell you? Dojis, right? So what did we
Yeah,
just talk about? These dojis, but then
yeah.
you see big candles. Not like really big, but they're larger than these little candles,
hmm
right? And then you got this little doji overlap. So that's my over under level right there. And look at
So
where it
what
creates
becomes?
this
Yeah,
these little dojis right here.
yeah, that makes sense. So the strong
Or you could
overlap.
use this one too, up here. But either way, I usually tend to do where there's battles, right? Where it's like a tug of war right here where it overlaps. That level right there, that little zone, should be your
hmm
over under level. And look at all these dojis were created. If you would have had your volume profile, I'm sure there's a fucking spike right there.
Okay.
Because that's another thing that helps me, but I don't think you should add it right now. Um, is the volume profiles because you'll see like one big bar sticking out.
Yeah.
You'll see one huge bar just popping out over here out of the sun. You're like, oh, that's a level right there I gotta focus on.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but anyways, they always most of the time they line up with dojis. So right now, just focus on dojis. You already got the doji strategy kind of down. But then,
Yeah.
uh, look at how this little overlap right here.
Yeah, kind of didn't quite reach it, I think.
No, I
I know.
missed it a little bit. But remember, here's another tip. When it shies, it's gonna come back to retest it harder.
Yeah.
When it shies, it's gonna retest it harder. So the second retest, like it shied it right here, right? I'm pretty sure it shied that zone. It's probably gonna go like this. Boom, smash up through there. Cause it's like, oh, we don't have enough. We don't have enough soldiers to attack them. Let's go back for reinforcements and let's get them. Boom. Or we lost Billy. We lost Billy on our last battle. Let's go back, Billy. I can come back and get you.
come
No,
back and save him.
say no man left behind. Let's go. Come back and freaking get him with the force. But yeah, yeah. That's what. There was something that I had seen. Is there another? Was there another picture that you were scanning through on the same play?
I'm not sure. I mean, I was kind of
Hold on.
going, so this was the whole day here from 2:30 all the way to about 3:30.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
like play out.
So right here, this little doji right here. Go
Which one?
forward.
Oh, there we
This
go.
one
Go forward. I'll move. Yeah, there we go.
right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or no, 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 no. I found out which one it was. I found it. This doji. These two little overlapping dojis. One has a wick up here. One has a wick right here.
Yeah.
And look at where it came to. Not only that, look at this other two dojis right here. That level was strong for sure. What happens next? Does it bounce or does it reject? What's up, Mason?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what comes after when it gets back down to these
Oh, you
dojis.
didn't keep taking pictures?
No,
Sorry.
no, I cut it because this was too many. I mean, this is too many. Like on the one, so I got in long here, profit just barely ticked my profit, came back break even. I got it. This was
But
the
that
only
should have
trade
been your
I'm
entry,
happy
huh?
with.
Yeah, that should have been
Is
your entry.
this one? Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why I had asked
exactly.
you. You got in here. Did you add when it came back to your level?
Well, at least I didn't let it go because one thing that I think is a big like a lot of traders get in too early.
Yep.
So and
Because they
and
don't wait
then
for that confirmational structure break.
right, they don't wait, and then by the time it works out for them, they're so emotionally exhausted that they don't even want to take the trade anymore. So that's what scaling down helped me get over.
Yep.
Is so because of this, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm risking. This says 150, but I actually tighten up this stop, so I'm only risking like 100.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to getting in 3 micros. It's like I don't care. It's like it doesn't bother me. So it did that. It came back down. I'm not even looking at the P&L, and I just got right back in. And this long worked out just fine. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, I think this action, it would be fair to say this is a little bit of tough action here. I mean, getting one, two, three, four, five, four, arguably 5 5-minute dojis in a row.
Yeah.
That's a little tough because then I got chopped up at the top. So I got out of my I entered a short here, got stopped out, entered a short here, cut it break even, entered a short, another break even, and then I entered this short, profit break even, and then I just called it for the day. I'm
Something
like, all
that
right, what's going on?
something that's helped me with my shorts is I get in on a full body green, going up to my level.
Yeah, see, that's tough. I think
It
that
is.
I'll learn that.
It is fucking tough because you're like, fuck, I should be going long because it's a big green candle, but it's going up
Yeah,
to your resistance level. That's what you got to think.
yeah,
It's coming up
true.
to my resistance level, whether it's a weekly, daily fib level, MA level. You're like, I, I gotta get in. It's even if it's green, if it busts through your 150 points, and that's all you risk, right? Fuck it.
Right.
Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But
Yeah, especially when I have
most of the
structure.
time you're gonna be right, especially if your level lines up with structure. You're like, fuck, I gotta take this.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll consider that. That one's going to be adding the zones, adding the structure lines, and adding the fibs. No big deal. Doing that, going short on a full body, that's going to be tough. I'll see how I do with that because that is the opposite of what I normally do.
Yep.
So we'll see. I try to catch the first green candle in a sequence of many. It's basically what I try to do is catch, yeah, the first green in a sequence of multiple greens. So
And
trying to
that might not
catch.
work for you. Like I'm not trying to force that on you, but that's something that helped
Well,
me.
it's something to
You know
think
what I'm
about
saying?
Yeah, because I got the dojis. It is coming into a lower high. I have my MA here. Like it's reasonable to do that. It's better than it might be in some cases. I've got to be able to identify the environment
Yep.
because in some environments, what I do is going to be what works out in the trade. But like in this environment here, maybe I could have said, on this 5 minute chart, there's 4, 8, I mean 4, 6, 10. 12, like there's like 12, 15 dojis on this 5 minute chart. Maybe I could
Hmm.
have said, clearly the 5 minutes dojiing, making a little,
Chop.
being a little choppy, so I can try what you're saying
Yep.
and
And
not
just
get just kind of stopped and break even.
yeah,
So
because I mean, some of those you entered at the bottom of the red can.
yeah, exactly. Because I'm trying to do what I plan. This one over here, like this first short here, I entered at the bottom of
Yep.
this 2 minute red candle or something like that.
Hmm.
Which normally, I mean, if I did it the I was trying to tighten up my stop, and normally I would put my stop all the way above this 2 minute candle,
Okay.
which I did, and then it got stopped out.
So if you're gonna enter on the 2 minute,
Yeah.
then if you're not gonna use getting on the green, then ask yourself this, right? If I'm getting in right here, is there support? Am I selling at support? And you are
Mm.
right here. There's support
Mm-hmm.
right here and right there,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't want to you don't want to short at support.
Right. It's right over these crossed over
Yep.
red and greens.
Yep.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
this
we're
is
gonna
the
keep that in
top of
mind.
the structure. This is the bottom, right? Even though you can keep your same strategy, but just ask yourself, am I getting in short at support?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are, am I willing to take the risk of this bouncing up
Right.
against me, right? Because you bought it right here, right at the bottom somewhere.
Yeah, it was sold right there on the 1 minute.
Yeah, see, so
14.50. Yeah.
you kind of have this
14.50.
support right here. See how it's like a little structure?
Right here.
And then you got that.
Yeah.
And this is like super chop on the 1 minute. But over here on the 2 minute, it's nice. See how it's a little crest right
Yeah.
here? So that would be your top support. This is your bottom support.
Right. That makes
It,
sense.
if you wanted to get in short, you would want this to break. Boom, get in right here to go down.
Mm. And on the 1 minute, the structure break here
Yep.
or not until here?
No, that is structure break,
Right here.
but you're waiting for a lower high.
All right. So that was
So here's your structure break,
14.55.
right? Lower low. So now you're looking for a lower high. So you could have got in right
Hmm.
here at the top with a stop
Okay.
above here.
Right.
Or right here, this structure, you could have had two stops. But you're getting in at the top to go short instead of getting in down here to go short.
Right.
Know what I'm saying? Because you got the structure break and then you got a lower low, but then this breaks it, it creates a higher high, but then it creates a lower low again, and then you got a lower low. So you got two chances to get in. And look, both chances you got in are about the same area.
Right. Okay.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think that makes sense. I'll start using this 1 minute structure to kind of better time my 2 minute entries. Sometimes I think I should look at less charts, but I think I'm getting them down, and
It
ultimately it's going to be
it
beneficial.
it's just it's just practicing your craft, bro. If you're good at four charts, looking at different time frames, then you're gonna get better. For me, I can swap between the one and the five, one and the
Yeah.
five, one and the five. That's all I do. Sometimes I go to the 15 and I fib out a 15-minute candle, and then I drop down to the one and the five, one and the five, one and the five, and then yeah, and then look at the moving averages, see if there's any fibs, see if there's any particular structure. But I'm telling you that structure, it's just gonna take you from level 10 to level 15.
Let's go.
We need to be at level 100. Yeah, good trade. Hopefully you
Thank
take
you.
some tips out of there and improve on those entries and then be that more consistent.
Absolutely. I'll do that easy enough. Fibs, zones, structure lines. Start with that. Just throw them right in my chart and move them around as the day goes on. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And that was all I had for the week as well.
Cool.
So
Cool. Let me share my screen. I'll share one screenshot and then we call it a day.
cool, cool.
Oh, there it was. Okay. So last night I was giving a lesson to my friend about structure and how to identify and see these zones exactly how I told you how I identify them. The little overlap of the bodies of the smaller candle. See? You guys see
I
my
do.
screen? You guys see my trade away?
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing it.
Yep.
So check this out. Um, he was thinking about getting in right here, right? As I said, this is your over under level. We got the GP right here, right? We had a strong leg, and this is just fibbing this strong, nice, defined leg. It's perfect, beautiful, right? You got a leg right there. You could also fib from right here to down here, would have lined up with the 100% fib. And he was about to get in right here, and I was like, I would think about it, right? Why? Because it shied the 50. And
Hmm.
what did I just tell you? It's gonna come back, retest the 50, and then bounce harder, right? And I said, over here, once it tags a 50, I didn't, this wasn't here yet, but when he was right here, I was like, wait for the tag of the 50 because it lines up with the GP. It lines up with that zone right here with the structure. You can easily catch from here to here was like 15 points.
Hmm.
I said you could easily catch 15 points with one contract up to right here because it has a no wick. So that's my first target. Second target is up here, right? So he waited. He didn't get in here. He followed my advice and he waited right here. I said, wait for the hold. Don't fucking get bitched out. This is where I taught him to get in on a red, right? He got in right here at the tag of the 50. He got a little bit drawdown right here. It didn't pass the 38. I told him he could either stop out, break above the 100 or the 38. That's a good stop out. If you're a better trader or you got in a better spot like right here, then your stop would be right here below the 23.
Hmm.
But he got in right there, got a little drawdown, and then he caught his 25 points. I told him to lock one in right here, and then he said, fuck it, I'm locking in 25 points up here. All because he waited for the stack, third stack.
Right.
And
The
see
third.
these volume profiles? That's what I was using as targets too. They have these volume profiles. So then I told him, okay, look, we broke our over under level. We broke it. So now we got to confirm it. Not only that, we broke the 100. So the next target down is the 200, which is way down here. So what's he do? Boom. Waits for this to confirm. He didn't get in there. I told him he got one more chance to get in if he's going to get in. And it has to be in sequence, right? Because we broke the sequence over here. We got a lower low, we got a lower high, a lower low. So as long as we're in sequence at this zone, which we are, we got a lower high right here. We can create a lower low, which we did. We still had this target, the 200 SMA, which is right there, and this big body candle right here. I told him. Uh, and then he got in right here because we got a lower high and we got a confirmation of the 100, confirmation of the GP because this is a 38% fib. And then he wrote it down to this zone. It's like You're just reading the moving averages, the volume profiles, because look at this big volume profile right here. Stacked. And this wasn't
Yeah.
like that. So what you look for is the price action comes down here. And as it's going up, does this volume profile move out? And it wasn't. During these green candles, this volume profile was like right here. But as soon as this red candle came out and it hit the 10, this shit popped out. What's that tell you? Red candle, this coming out,
Hmm.
bears are coming in. And it rejected the 10, and then he just wrote it down. But that's what I'm telling you is you have confirmation. See how this confirmation was a 50 stacked up with the GP? This 10 SMA stacked up with the GP still. And we
Mm-hmm.
broke this level. We broke the over under right here. Because why? There was no price action right here. We broke our over under level. What do you look for? Confirmational lower high, right? Because we broke structure. We broke the over under zone. Here's a confirmation right here. Confirmation down. Boy, and I'll leave you with that. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for freaking sharing your trades.
Hmm.
Apply what we talked about today. More structure break, stacking fibs, looking at your different time frames to look for see if there's better structure or a doji. Look for dojis. Uh, we looked at volume profiles. You don't have to apply volume profiles. It's like I'm telling you, see how this little doji right here stacks up with
Yeah.
that. Look at these dojis right here. Stacks up with these. See this doji right here? Stacks up with that. And look at the dojis. If you track the dojis, that's where you'll see these big volume profiles.
Right.
Because that's where there was a big battle. And not only that, if you're using trade away or if you're using volume profile, look, if the candle's red and it pops out, then the bears are coming in. If it's green and it pops out, then it's probably bulls coming in. Um, I'm pretty sure he didn't send me the other picture, but I told him right here, we want to see how this level reacts. Rejected, and then it reclaimed it right here. I'm pretty sure, and it popped all the way back up to the 50 SMA,
Hmm.
right? Because look, we have no back test of the 50 SMA.
Right.
Um, but that's exactly what it did. I said, look, this is a big level. So if we break over it and we stay below, we're going down to where? Down here. And there's no volume, right? But in order to get down here, we need to clean this up. We need to fill that in with volume. And I'm pretty
Hey,
sure
are you still recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll stop
Eh,
right now. Hold on one sec. Or did you have a question?
Yeah, yeah, and a statement, but you can finish what you were doing, man. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.